Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Do it. Speaking here. Lerner.
Here.
Wenzel.
Here.
Hoover.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Powell. Here.
No statements really. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion made and supported to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public statement. Any new topic? You got the list. Terry and Francis Cooper.
I'm curious, so you know what, certainly that are being discussed later, you discussed with them, you're gonna be involved in too.
Joe, if you have anything to say now is the time.
So what is the topic actually about then?
It's the country boys fence issue.
So, okay, then
Nothing to do with license.
you're
No.
considering approving it, is that what you're doing?
We need to discuss it, and there'll be more on it. Essentially, they built onto a land adjacent and get lease. They're checking out.
Okay, because I guess my only comment with that then, since we're not even at that point, is that you're still in your moratorium and to allow them to expand, I think is,
No, integrity involved,
okay. That's our comment.
Okay, Mike Navarre?
Pretty much the same. I mean, we've seen people come in here with all sorts of high promises and all, and then fail over and over at keeping them. If they're gonna expand without consulting or anything, it seems like dirty pool.
Yeah.
You know? And did they take a plan of this expansion to the planning commission or anything? Or?
That's part of the problem. That's what we're here to talk about.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm also just worried about this ordinance that people can expand on their properties, you know, once they've got a boundary line, then they can expand, and then that's a new boundary line, so then they can expand again. And I'm having a little problem with that. Where does that end?
Okay. Anything else?
Is that a correct assumption on my part?
Yes. Anything else? Okay. All right, moving on to the new business. Marijuana facility licenses. James, would you like to introduce us to the issue at hand?
Yes, in a minute I'll introduce Nick from Country Boy Farms, but just wanted to parse this into the issues, and it's been touched on a little bit, and maybe I can help clarify that. There are a few things that really need council deliberation and guidance on. The first is the moving of the fence, as you've been seeing out there, onto the neighboring property. There were some discussions, it seems, back last year, indicating that what they were looking to do could be consistent with what's been approved in other cases, and they would need to put forth a plan and have it go through a process and get approved. That didn't happen. So at this point, the moving of the fence under normal circumstances, we can deal with as a relatively minor zoning violation. We'd work with a property owner, get it set right, get the right permits, and get taken care of. The intent of growing cannabis on that property, the neighboring property, where there was not a special land use permit yet issued, is a different issue. And so, because again, a plan had not been submitted and gone through the process to get approved, that can't happen on that property. Again, under normal circumstances, you would call a timeout and say, okay, let's go to the process, do the proper process. That would require notices be sent out, publication in the paper of a public hearing, and an approval required before the special land use is undertaken. What isn't normal is that this is all under the auspices of the marijuana licenses that you as the council have discretion over. And so, obviously created some concern, and the council will need to deliberate and give direction on whether it's would be inclined to allow those licenses to move forward in getting a special land use, go through the proper process to expand the fence area to the neighboring property, and to amend the existing special land use to, enlarge that area. To clarify a question that was earlier, it isn't that you can just keep expanding each time that the footprint or the boundary of that special land use happens. It would have to go through a similar process. Notices, publication, public hearing, all of those sorts of things. What the intent of what was the activity out there is somewhat consistent with what has happened even under the moratorium that started in last February of 2021. Eden Way properties and fences and additional enclosures happened in 2021 while you were under a moratorium. And that moratorium is specific to no new facilities. Existing facilities could get additional licenses. In this case, it is not new licenses. Their existing license is one medical and one adult use license, the minimum required. And by virtue of those licenses, they can grow up to 3,500 plants, except for you can't grow 3,500 plants on 2.5 acres, indoor and or outdoor, hence the ask to extend the fence. So those are the issues that require your deliberation and guidance on whether you would see fit for them to go ahead and expand that and go through the proper process to get a special land use, or if you have other direction that you would have for them. But with that, I can turn it over to Nick, and you can address the council.
Nick Weisenberger, Country Boy Farms. Need the address? Yeah, 1117 North Main Street. I'd like to start out apologizing to you guys. Wrecking your Tuesday, that's sunny, beautiful, and everything else. And I brought you back from up north. I guess long story short, I made the mistake of I had several meetings with Troy prior to Troy leaving. We were looking at we needed to be able to produce more product and utilize our existing licenses. I even talked to him about the fact of being a license holder and being grandfathered in while other property I had in the village. And he made it clear to me that the only thing I could do is expand on existing property that is adjacent to my property, utilize my same licenses that I have right now. So with that, him and I talked several times about it. He told me, which I made a mistake when James and I were conversing about it. I said, James, I know what I did. I said, I talked to Troy about it before, and he says, everything you submit to the state of a print and the wording of what you look to do on the ground has to be submitted to the village. As soon as they called me in a week ago, hey, Nick, I looked at him and said, I know exactly what I did. I said, I submitted everything to the state, didn't submit anything to you guys. And here we are moving forward out here with the lead, everything to move forward. And I take full responsibility for the screw up on it. I mean, it was simple. He asked me, yeah, I have all the paperwork right here on file, and it's an email, sent everything right over to him, the same thing we submitted everything to the state. So, in all my conversations with Troy was understood that we could move forward, we could expand, because I talked to him initially about expanding on the whole front of Flores there, which is 12 acres across. He got back with me and told me that it was no issue at all. Same thing. I need to submit my plan and submit a wording of what is going to go on it. With the lease with Flores, no permanent structures, nothing like that. We just want to put a fence and plants to utilize our existing licenses. We're a company right now that's forced to take in product from other companies, buy product we can't produce enough for ourselves. So, sorry, that caused all this. So, anybody that knows me knows we don't look to be a negative in the community.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions for me?
Why, you said you didn't submit it to the village, and you knew that you'd be submitted to the state, why didn't you do it to the village?
A 100% honest mistake on my part. Like I said, as soon as I sat down, Tommy Evanhoe called me. I come in, sunshine and butterflies. Hey, what's going on, guys? Had no clue. And James brought it to my acknowledgement. Hey, Nick, you move forward on putting a fence out there. You didn't submit anything to the state. It was like to the village. It was like getting slapped in the face. So, that's when I told him, man, I went through all this with Troy. I remember Troy telling me, hey, you got to submit a plan and a description of what you look to do.
You think you should have known that Troy wasn't with us no more, to contact James and see if he was in line?
Absolutely. I mean, I take full, even though I got approval through Troy and everything else was fine and good and everything. If I would have talked to Troy, Troy's counseled me several times. I'm like, hey, Nick, you gotta do this. Hey, Nick, you gotta do that. Troy probably in the midst of it would have called me, hey, you gotta go to a meeting, take care of this. I had never met James until last week, and so, I mean, I take full responsibility for all of it. It was we submitted everything to the state, we canceled it, had my guys stop, because they were, the state was supposed to come out yesterday for final inspection. I canceled all that, and I told my guys, to stop everything out there, not even be out on the property anymore, on the Florida properties.
You got a copy of the lease and everything else from Florida and all that?
We got quite a bit, we just don't have the lease yet, I don't know.
You haven't received it?
I haven't received
Okay, I can email it to you ASAP, so.
Are there copies of correspondence between those conversations between you and Troy that you're speaking of?
Brief email is all. There's one email that I can print, send, or I can email to you. Say, hey, I got a meeting tonight. I'll talk with you in the morning. Most of my conversations with Troy were coming into here or over conversation. I pulled up all my previous, and I even had his personal email. There's one small conversation in there other than the village email. I can't tell you there's anything that I have direct that says, over email, he gave me permission for this.
Right, but we're all in agreement, he did tell you you needed to submit it to everybody. We're not saying Troy told you you could do anything.
No.
Yeah.
He told me that I should have no problem moving forward on the Florida property to lease that to expand my outdoor grill. It corresponds with the ordinance and the moratorium of adjacent property. I can't move to other property, but I can expand my existing property on adjacent property. Josh and owner with me or whatever, we decided that, all right, this would be our best bet. We move, expand like this, utilize our licenses, get it to where 1,500 plants outdoors, 1,500 plant indoor, and try to get to be a more self-efficient company and not have to depend on other companies. And your question that you're asking there, I 110% made it keep, how do you make that mistake when you submit all the paperwork to the state?
Right.
And not submit it to your local municipality?
That's kind of what we all wondered.
Yeah, me too.
It's a big time,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, it's humbling and embarrassing as to have done all this and got this far to make this kind of a mistake.
Any other questions?
If I may, Mr. President, just to clarify, I did touch base with Mr. Feldman, and he would confirm that course of events, that he would have been awaiting the plan to do the process. And I don't think that, if anybody reach out to me for any land use as zoning administrator, it's a very common question. Hey, can I do this? And I would look at the zoning ordinance, and I would look, read the tea leaves, so to speak, and say, yeah, that's probably something you can do. So that you plan and go through the process. So I don't think anything that Mr. Feldman did would have been inconsistent with usual practice or what's been shared already. So.
So I think our, and we've talked about the zoning
Yeah, I think it's again, the erecting the fence, and the intent to do special land use that's not yet approved. We can address those, but it really needs the okay of council on whether the footprints, under these circumstances is acceptable, or under what circumstances. We can address, the violation even, or do some sort of fine, I suppose.
Well, at this point, it's really only zoning. Sure, there was intent, but nothing was planted there, nothing was grown there.
Yeah, you have the fence as a technical violation, but again, under the umbrella of your licensing ordinance and your reasonable expectation that licensees behave and follow the rules and all those things, that's a discretion that lies with you. So that would require deliberation. We can rectify. There is a planning commission meeting that will be scheduled for June 28th. We can notice it, do a public hearing, send out, do the special land use, and address it that way with the council's okay to do that. And it would still be time in the growing season to not do anything before then, to not plant until after that.
Anybody have any thoughts?
I think perhaps we should address the infractions that have taken place, perhaps with a fine, just to say we're not allowing this as a standard to take place, and require them to go through the entire process of going to the planning commission to, everything at that property is completely on hold until they get it through the entire process.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
Well, that's my opinion. If anybody else has any other ideas before.
That's the opinion I walked in with too.
So, anybody want to make the motion? Anybody have a different opinion?
No, I don't think there was any malice, disregard or anything. Everybody can make an honest mistake. Yeah, there's gonna be angry people, but
Tell Spider-Man, everybody has one.
yeah. So, yes, I don't think there was intent to circumvent anything. But yes, I'm in agreement. There needs to be a fine. Because it was just, whether you overlooked procedural issues or whatever, there needs to be a fine.
The ordinance allows 500 or up to 500?
Correct. Up to 500. And then past that, I'm not looking to kill anybody's business. We can get, the planning commission can fix it, so the wording is there, because obviously it wasn't. Then if they get to June and they're fine, then I don't have a problem with it.
I just don't wanna change an ordinance twice. I don't wanna have planning commission to change an ordinance because of this mishap. And then as we go through all of our ordinance reviews, have to do it again.
Well, this won't be an ordinance change.
This
This
is
will be
their
a
site
process.
plan.
Yeah, especially.
For the special use, yes. Basically, they're just amending their special use by their boundaries. So essentially, they're just reliving what they already did when they got their original license.
They already have the licenses.
Expand.
So it'd be like we say in way, so like I explained to someone, they have 37 acres. 7 of those acres may be the driveway, house, the buildings, parking and all that. There's 30 acres to grow on. And they grew on 15 acres the first year. And they decided the second year, hey, we did okay, we need to do this much more. So it was the same thing that they did, but the process of showing where they were expanding it, we didn't see. He went to the state, did everything else, just like Eden Way would have to do.
well, we're gonna go to 20 acres now of growing this, that. He already had the licenses, he just needed the space to use all of the licenses, like an Eden Lake.
Let me ask a question about that, because this is where I got tied up last time. Initially, if Eden Way came, if somebody in Eden Way came, they wanted 5 licenses. When they submit their paperwork, they have to submit exactly where the fence is going to go, or are they allowed to put the fence around are they allowed to have the entire 30 acres approved, as Keith was talking about, and then put the fence where they want? Because it is their property. In this case, this wasn't Nick's property, he's leasing property.
Right.
Which is why they would have to come back for a special use permit on that property, correct? However, somebody on Eden Way that already owned the 30 acres and were approved with that site plan on the purchased 30 acres that they had already purchased and own as one lump sum property, would they have to come back in front of the planning commission, or because they were originally, okay?
No, because they would have got the special use permit for their entire parcel.
If they fence it differently, they
Yeah.
have to.
No, they might have
I
to come
noticed
to
they
the,
had weird fences in there.
they might have to come to the.
Well, there's 7 lots out there, right?
Right, and I see that when you get on there, there's growing over here and it's fenced off separately, there's growing over here and it's fenced off separately.
It shows where the different.
Right.
I mean, as long
But
as.
I believe it's
setback-
all owned and on the original boundary, I don't.
Yeah, I
believe
think the original boundary is out there like that. So.
Yeah.
In the zoning ordinance, fencing is this kind of, it's a quasi-regulated thing. I mean, lots of fencing can be done without any permits. I mean, there's some fencing that you do need to get a permit for, like setbacks and all those important things. This one's kind of in that space.
Right.
Eden Way may very well been fencing that's permitted by right without a permit.
Talking about fencing. I know she was putting up the green fence. I know we talked about the see-through fence and all that stuff, we wanted the black stuff put up.
Yeah, well, some sort of screening.
Yeah. Could that be put towards the special use permit for Nick and them? Make sure they put that back up, so we don't have to go back after it.
We may have to do some more research on that. I'm not sure if you have examples of where that's being used.
Up the Sharon Road.
Nick, were you gonna opaque that fence? Were you gonna hide it? Like, with green wrap, were you gonna cover that fence?
Oh, yeah, he's got a green wrap on it, but you still can see through it.
Yeah, they call it, this date is loosely worded, that type of thing, so.
That's something we would have to change inside of our personal ordinance.
Hey, Nick comes June 7th, you're gonna love it.
What's that?
I'm kidding, don't show up on June 7th.
But he's trying to say if we're doing a lot of work on our ordinances and some things might change that you might be interested in.
Suggestions.
Yeah.
And you grew 500 outside last year, so you're just shifting plants from inside to outside.
We grew 500, and then what we put indoors, still not utilizing our licenses last year. We always have basically 1,000 or 1,000 to 1,200 that we can't utilize.
Okay, so you got extra plants that just currently aren't being grown or.
Right. We have a Class C rack and med, which gives us, 3,500 total. So we're just trying to utilize,
Yeah, just a few more plants that you want.
exactly, utilize our existing.
Even inside, when both rooms are full, we can only fit about 1,400 plants inside. Then we had 500 outside, so it's only 1,900 total.
So you were just in the process of expanding the fence, correct? Had you moved any plants? Had you?
No. There's nothing moved other than the fence.
How many parcel fences put up, right? I mean, just on the
Front,
front
back.
and one side.
For the front, the side, and the back posts are up, and I had the guy stop when we had that meeting, and just told him, we're gonna, I was honest with him as a boss, I told him I made a mistake, so.
So is the violation the expansion of the fence or growing on the expansion? Because there's a fine line there between what's actually happening.
Yeah, no, not technically growing, because that activity hasn't happened. It's
Correct.
more of a catch-all in your licensing ordinance of just generally by what may be a small technical violation of zoning ordinance under your licensing could be a violation, you know, because your ordinance basically says, hey, follow the rules, and if you break some other rule or law, your license is in peril.
That's what I wanna clarify,
Yeah.
they even follow the rules, so is the rule come into play when there's growing happening, or just with the expansion of the fence line?
Right, the rules would be including zoning laws, other state laws, and in this case, the erection of a fence. You know,
There's
without,
no pots, it's just a blank.
yeah,
piece
just
of
go by
grass.
there.
It's still
Yep.
the same chisel plowed field from last fall. You know, we still gotta level it.
I mean, that's what last time I went by, the chain link was still even laying on the ground, it wasn't even on the post or erected.
It'd be a much different story if there were plants.
Right.
And fortunately, I mean, it all happened quite quickly.
Right.
You know, we heard that there was some activity, originally just thought, well, everybody was doing that activity on their property, and then we learned and caught it within a week before anything was planted or anything like that, so. Can I ask, the more opaque screening material could be a condition of site plan, or a special use approval? Would it be the consensus of the council to see that more opaque screening, the black screening, like Sharon Road?
I would like to see it, but I feel like it's, I don't necessarily feel like we need to force Nick to do it based
No.
on the fact that we haven't forced anybody else to do it, so I don't think that we need to tie that
It
as
could
a
be something that
contingency
if
to
Nick
it.
wanted to do it on his own, you know,
Well, plus we're gonna change, most likely
Yeah.
change some of that anyway. Keith is gonna solely on his own change all that.
No, I got a lab partner, I'm not going down alone.
I did not get permission in this lab partnership, I just want you to know. I basically
It is
got,
not bad,
it
it's
was
not
one
that
of those
bad.
hook things. I got rung in.
I'll disregard on that for the special use then.
I would say so. I don't think it's necessary to put a contingency on it.
So since we're only talking paperwork, I wouldn't max out the fine, I'd be thinking maybe like $250 just as a paperwork boundary.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal. Like, he did not, I mean, he as a business owner has got to make sure his T's are crossed and his I's are dotted. You have to check and double check and recheck. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm disappointed to hear that he had not even met James up until last week. James has been here since January. James should have been on foot on that property, or Nick should have been in here talking to James, building some type of relationship. James is, you know, the forefront of pretty much anything that goes on marijuana. So yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think it's worth the full 500.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For what it's worth, the special land use process, site plan amendment, special land use amendment, is a $1,500 cost that's required. You gotta send out postage, gotta put notice in the paper. I haven't actually talked to him about that, but that is something that would have to be paid as well, for that. So,
I would think maybe then we're looking at two different motions, one for the fine and one for the special use amendment.
We can do that.
yeah.
Anybody wanna make that motion?
Make a motion to proceed to fine full $500 to Country Boy Farms for infractions discussed.
Motion has been made and seconded to fine Country Boy Farms $500. Roll call vote, please.
Do it.
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Lerner?
Yes.
Wenzel?
Yes.
Hoover?
Yes.
Chanel?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes. I motion that we allow Country Boy Farms to freeze any more activity on that property and to move forward with the regular special use permit.
To be clear, when you say freeze, you mean on the new
The
stuff?
new property.
Expansion.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to allow, Country Boy Farm to apply to the planning commission for a special use adjustment. We'll do a roll call vote on that.
Hewitt,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Lerner,
Yes.
Wenzel,
Yes.
Hoover,
Yes.
Shell,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Okay. I believe that concludes that. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about on that?
I want to apologize to Fran for giving her bad information last week. I was under the impression that we had approved our, our light industrial park and our right by use. I know I told you last week that that's what this was covered under. I also want to apologize for not knowing, and just speaking that I assumed that, Mr. Weisenberger had talked to, James, when in fact he did not. So, just want to clear the air with that.
I appreciate that.
One question, because we do wanna work on our outdoor on our existing approved property. Is it alright to go out and put the fence up in the back? Because right now the fence in the front and the side is up.
As long as it's on your property, right?
It's on the back, it's.
Not on the leasing property, because that's what we're talking about. It has to go up to your regular fence line. Because that's what the special.
Right now the fence is open on the back, because I had them, as soon as I talked to James, they stopped that day we stopped. I just wanna know if we put the chain link up, do we not? Do I put the chain link and keep off of it then?
The motion tonight was to keep off of it.
Don't do
And
nothing
not
on
put it up. If that creates a practical difficulty because it was also enclosing your property or something.
Right.
Maybe we should address the council with that, but if that's not the case, then just stay off the property.
Does it create any type of violations to the state, to your current licensed property that you are able to work on?
Yeah, because we're open to the back right now.
All right, yeah, I'm sorry.
So you can put that piece back up, but not if it is attached to the property in question at this moment.
So, based on the motion, you could go ahead and run that fence on your property, to close that off. But the motion would be you can't go onto your property and do that.
Is the inner fence that was already existing gone?
It's moved out to the Floyd property.
So he's open without that being closed?
And I'll be honest with you, right now, like fencing to get, like even if I order it right now, it's 5-6 weeks. So like right now I'm open.
It's up to the council to reconsider.
Do you need to remove it from the Flory property in order to put it back onto your current property? Is that what you're asking? It needs to come down?
The whole pole, like everything's up, the top rail, the post, everything, the chain link's laid there. All I have to do is attach, like a couple hour process, attach the chain link. And then it's re-enclosed, but I don't wanna go out and violate or.
But that would include the Flory property with
It's on the back of
enclosing
the
that.
Flory property, yes.
If, for what it's worth, again, under normal circumstances, a violation like this, we would tend to let stand or let button up while it goes through a process. So under normal circumstances, I would recommend that it's okay to finish the fence, so to speak.
I was gonna say, if it's
But
an issue.
Can we have it monitored by Tommy to make sure that there's nothing happening aside from the fence on the new property? There's no plants moving in, nothing.
It's fairly simple. If you've been out there, you can see that it's nothing but dirt and it stays that way.
I prefer the piece of dirt with the fence.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you guys everybody catch that?
No.
So essentially what they did was they took the old fence.
Oh, yeah.
Took the screening off, moved it out, and now it's just sitting there without screening. And the debate now is, do we allow them to put the screening back up and get the security back in place, but do nothing else?
So do we know where the original property line is, where the fence was?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, you can look at it.
Okay, so as long as he don't bypass that line with any plants or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
For security issues, I think
Fence has
that
to
should
be
be
done.
fenced up.
Does anybody disagree?
No.
For what time period?
Until the,
Till he goes through whatever, but that has to be there for security.
yeah,
Let's get an amended motion on that,
Yeah.
to be very clear.
I will amend the motion to allow them to go to the planning commission for the special use permit, and I will allow them to put the fence, to finish putting the fence up on the property as long as there is no work being done on the new property until they receive their special use permit.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded, we'll do a roll call again, please.
Hewitt,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Lerner,
yes.
Wenzel,
Yes.
Hoover,
Yes.
Chanel,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise it's wide open.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we'll have time to go and check, make sure that there's no violations on the property.
It'll be easy to watch. We're always watching.
All right, I believe that concludes this one. Any council members have a statement they'd like to make?
Motion adjourned.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn.